I don't know about you, but I like to look like I'm not dying during Ramadan. I want to still look presentable without doing too much. So I'll be showing you how I achieve this look with minimum products while I share some hygiene tips during Ramadan. If you're interested in that, keep watching. So the very first step is to do your skincare, of course. I've done mine already. And if you're going out, even if you're not going out, apply sunscreen. You can be dehydrated, but your face doesn't get dehydrated. So use your sunscreen. After that, you should use a primer. Get a good primer. I'll be using the Zikel primer, poreless finish, 24 hours primer, even though I'm not going anywhere. But just to have a nice base for this makeup, I'll be using it. I'm concentrating on my nose because I get oily there and my T-zone area. The next thing I'm going to work on is my brows. Because I'm fasting, I'm tired, I really don't do much. I don't really do my brows. But what I'm going to do is to conceal under my eye and conceal my brows to define the shape of my brows. So I'll be using my concealer. I'm using the Zikel HD concealer. I'm going to use the brush of the concealer first to define it. If you have an angled brush, you can also do this with an angled brush. Then I'm going to use my angled brush to define it. Make it more full coverage by adding more concealer, but I'm not really going for that. I just want to define my brows. You can even do this step if you are drawing your brows. This makes it faster. Instead of drawing your brows, using 1 hour to try and get your brows identical. And I'm going to blend it with my beauty blender. Have an even base. Next step now, because this is a no makeup look, you can do without applying foundation, but I'm going to apply a little bit of foundation to cover dark spots. So if you don't have dark spots, you don't need to do this step, but I like to do this just to cover the dark spots. So I'll take a flat angle brush and apply my foundation on it and just use it to cover the areas where I have dark spots. You can also do color correcting if you color correct, but that will make it too much step, and I'm not really trying to do too much. So now that it's all covered up, I'm going to blend it in. You can use a makeup sponge or brush. I'm going to be using brush first of all, and the key is to tap it in. Don't swipe because you're taking off products, but if you tap it in, it's going to cover the areas we are trying to, the dark spots you're trying to cover. This is your base, so taking your time to actually blend it in will help every other thing coming together. Now I want to also talk about some hygiene tips during Ramadan, because I'm seeing videos of people talking about Ramadan where people will be like, if because you are fasting doesn't mean you should be smelling, you should take care of yourself, which is valid, yeah. But from personal experience, I've also met a lot of people who actually look good, who smell nice even during Ramadan. So I guess it just depends, but I want to share some tips that I think really help everyone to look good during Ramadan, which is the makeup, and also smell good and feel good. So now I'm done blending, so you can see everything looks blended, and it doesn't even look like I have foundation on. That's because I'm using a little product. Now I'll go in my beauty blender and just blend it in more. What I'm trying to achieve with my Ramadan makeup look is to brighten my eye. I lift up my eye so I look alive. When your eye is raised or your face is structured, it makes you look alert. That's a better word. It makes you look alert. Then I also like to add some color to my face. So that's just the target of the makeup look, to add some color to the face, to brighten up the eye so that you look alert and you don't look so dull. So next step is to use concealer. So I'll be using concealer to cover out my face and brighten up my face. I really don't use a lot of concealer. My daily makeup look is really light because I don't want to look like I'm going for something serious. So I'll just use a little. So the first hygiene tip is to try as much as possible to stay hydrated. I noticed this with me, that I've noticed that I am actually not drinking a lot of water during this period, because when I get up for sahur, I'm going to take water while I'm eating, and after eating, that's it. And when I break, I'm more concerned on the food, the fruit. I really don't take a lot of water, and that is really not good. You need to stay hydrated because that will also help flush your system and to take away some odors and unwanted things like that. It just helps you be more healthy. So try as much as possible to stay hydrated and drink as much water. Now, when I wake up, when I'm praying, I take water. I have a glass of water, and when I'm eating, I try to take multiple glasses of water. When I break, I'm very intentional about taking water. It's very important. So now I just allowed it to set a little. So now that it's set, I'm going to blend it out using my beauty blender. And same with the foundation, you're just going to tap it in. Don't swipe, just tap it in and move the products like this. That will give you a better coverage than swiping. Now I don't use a really bright concealer. You can see there's really little difference between my concealer and my foundation, and that is intentional because I'm going for a really simple look. I'm not trying to over brighten the eyes, but I just want a little definition over my eyelid also. The excess concealer, you can put it around other areas of your face. Now, like I said, what I'm trying to achieve with this makeup look is to bring color to my face, and I'll be achieving that using blush. So I'll be using a liquid blush. I'll be using this. It's actually a lipstick, but I'm using it as blush. So it's red color. So I'll tap it a little. Like so. When you're applying your makeup, you want to apply all the cream products together before applying powder foundation. If I finish powdering my face, I can't apply this because that will mess it up. You apply all the liquid products first before powdering products. So now I'm going to blend that out. I'll be using this brush to blend this out. Now I don't know if you can see the difference. There's a slight bit of red just to add color to the face. When I smile, there's a little bit of color on the cheeks. So I like having that look because instead of everything just being brown and white, adding a little bit of color. So now that the blush is in, I'm going to apply the powder products like I said. So before I bake, I don't even bake my under eyes, or before I apply my setting powder to the under eye, I'm going to be using my powder palette, and I'm going to use something close to my shade under the eye first of all to set it. To set the concealer in place so that it doesn't move. This is a better brush. So I'm going to use this to set the powder in place, the concealer in place. Now I'm going to bake. Not bake, I'm going to set. I don't really like I said, I don't like the flashy look. So I just want a little bit of brightness. I use this is my setting powder. It's a yellow banana powder. I feel like people don't even use yellow powder again. People use white, but I use this. So now I'm just going to dab it everywhere. Like you make sure you dust off excess powder because you really don't want it to be too shouty. This is the setting powder, and I still use the blender to push it into my skin. I don't really have a lot of products to dust off. I just push it into my skin. Now I'm going to apply a powder blush, and I'm going to use the eyeshadow. So you don't need to have a lot. If you have an eyeshadow palette, I either use this pink for this where I'm feeling bold, or I use this purple color. So today I'm going to use this purple, and I'm going to use it to set the blush where I put the blush. So this is what we have so far. It's a very clean bit. If you can see, it looks really natural, nothing much. The color on the cheeks is the only thing that is really standing out. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to contour, and I'm using this dark brown shade to contour. I really don't like an extra contour, something just natural, and I'll be putting it below the blush. On my forehead, I've totally forgot what I was saying. So the second tip, what's this? The second tip is to brush every time you eat during Ramadan season. When you eat when you eat sahur, you brush before eating, obviously. When you get up, you brush. But what a lot of people don't do and what actually helps is to brush after eating sahur. Yes, you brush again. What you have to do to make this happen is to make time, to make sure you eat earlier so you have a little bit of window, because some people will not like to brush after eating because they've started fasting and they won't want the taste of toothpaste in their mouth. But what I do is when I finish eating, I go and brush. I make sure there's still time. So after brushing, I drink water so that the taste of toothpaste isn't so much. And even if you don't drink water, as far as you use a little amount of toothpaste, it's released. For me, I've never experienced it where it's overpowering or where I feel the taste of toothpaste in my mouth. So you can do that. I'm going to be using this to contour my nose also. Let me use a smaller brush for that. I'm using it to contour my nose. So this is what we have right now. This already looks like a finished natural bit, but I'm going to use powder all over my face now. So you pick up your brush and pick up your powder shade. This looks like a finished bit already, but I'll just be adding a little bit of definition to the eye. Like I said, I tried to lift up my eye, so I'm just going to add a little bit of the same shade I used for contour. The same dark shade I use for my contour, I'm going to put it a little in my eye crease just to add a little bit of color, because as women of color sometimes we have darker eyelids. So to mimic that back, I'm going to be adding a little bit of the dark shade of contour to the edge. Another tip, hygiene tip, to not deal with odor throughout the day when you're fasting is to try and talk as much as possible. As we know, if you don't eat, you don't talk for the whole day, it's normal that your mouth starts to have an odor. So just try and, especially when you're in the midst of people and you know you are going to be in contact, just try and talk from time to time. You don't have to talk so much, but open your mouth and talk. Don't be too quiet every time when you know you are going to be meeting up with people later. So just talk on them time so that your mouth can freshen up. I've applied the contour. I'm going to be using another brush to blend it in, just so it won't be harsh. I'm going to blend it. Now you can leave it like this, or you can add a little bit of color. I'm just going to add a white shade on top of it. I can use my fingers, but if I use my fingers, it will be a little bit harsh, and I don't want that. So I'll be using a brush, a little brush like this, just to pat on that white. And just put it on the face, on the eye. Now, it won't even be obvious that you put anything because this is powder, not eyeshadow. It's not going to be obvious you put anything on your face, but this will just help make your eye look different. I don't know if you can tell the difference between this eye and this eye, so just a little and blend it well. I'm going to blend it again with this brush. With eyeshadow too, you have to do a lot of blending for it to look put together. Now I'm going to do it on the other eye also. Another hygiene tip is to make sure you use deodorant. Now I know there are people who will be like, you don't want to use perfume during Ramadan, just find a perfume that is not so strong, something that is light, or even if you don't want to use perfume, use deodorant. That is just simple and that's basic. It's not, use one that is not overpowering, and most deodorants are not even overpowering. You won't smell it after you use it. So just make sure you smell good, taking care of your personal hygiene. Don't spray too much that will be overpowering or overbearing, but just spray little. So there's nothing bad there. And if you are picking your perfume scent, I think don't pick scents that are fruity or that mimic the smell of something sweet or food, because that might affect you throughout the day or affect other people. So just use other scents like oud that is very light, no one that's overpowering. I'm sweating a lot, and because the fan is not on. If I should put it on, you will not be able to hear me. So that is why. So now this is the eyeshadow is blended in. So I because I'm trying to mimic a simple look, I'm not going to be using eyeliner for this look, but I'm going to try and lift my eye a little. I know liner gives you that, so I'll be using a black pencil. I'm using a black eye pencil. So I'm just going to be putting it at the outer corner of my eye, just to draw a little line. Like this. This just lifts the eye a little without doing too much. Like I'm not using a whole liner, but it lifts the eye a little. So let's look at the difference. There's a slight difference, and I like that look, just to lift up the eyes a little without doing too much. So done with the look. It doesn't look like a lot, but if you look at it compared to how I started this video, there is a difference. So what I'm going to do now is just add a little bit of highlight to the inner corner of my eyes to brighten up my eyes and just look different. I'll be using this golden shade here, just a little, because this is very pigmented, and I'll put it at the corner of my eye. That's a lot. I don't know if you so I'll be using a lighter one, something that is not so pigmented for my cheeks, because I don't want to blind anybody's eyes. I'll just use this brush. It's a very subtle shimmer, and that's what I'm going for. And this is not even necessary if you don't have this. This is not necessary, but I'll be putting it on the bridge of my nose also. Now I'm just going to lightly fill in my brows, just to make up for all these sparse areas. Contouring the eyebrow early on prevents you from having to do too much. Like now I'm fine with my brows like this, I can go out like this. So you can leave the look like this and go with your gloss if you want, or you can use a nude color of lipstick or gloss. I'll be using a nude gloss from Taos Cosmetics, but first I'll line my lips. I'm using brown. Sometimes I use black, but black is not natural for what I'm going for right now. So I just use brown. Even just using this brown and gloss looks good already, and it doesn't look over the top. But I'll be using a little bit of this gloss. You can see that it's very nude and it's not a light nude. So this is the look, and I'm not putting on lashes or eyeliner, nothing. So I'm just going to brush my so you can leave it like this if you like, but if you want you can use mascara also. Put it on the outer corner, because I'm trying to create that fox eye look, that lifted eye look, without doing so much. So yeah, this is the final look. As you can see, it's not doing too much, but it's doing everything it needs to do. And if you learned a thing or two, please share it in the comment section. If there's any other tip you'd like me to try. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. If you'd like to see more of this pretty face, please hit that subscribe button. Bye.